How's it going, everyone? Today we are going to be going over the potential mid-season or mystery racers that will be joining the game in Season 7 of Disney Speedstorm. Now, Season 7 is about 3 weeks away at this point, and for those who do not know already, it is going to be Wreck-It Ralph themed, and we are most likely getting 5 brand new Wreck-It Ralph racers in the form of Wreck-It Ralph himself, Vanellope Von Schweetz, King Candy, Fix-It Felix Jr., and then Sergeant Calhoun from the military-themed video game in Wreck-It Ralph, and that is going to be really exciting. Obviously, those racers aren't confirmed yet, but there has been a lot of leaks and speculation about those 5, and then we're getting the Sugar Rush racetrack, but something that we know nothing about is the mystery or mid-season racers in Season 7. However, I have a lot of good guesses. There's been a couple leaks in the files, and I want to discuss with you guys who I think the mystery racers of Season 7 are going to be. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Now, before we begin, I do want to take a quick moment to give a little disclaimer that none of the information in this video is confirmed in any way, and 2, we won't actually have confirmed information until after Season 7 begins. Now, in the past, most times they have revealed the mystery racers prior to the season launch. However, this time in Season 7, we aren't going to know the mid-season racers until after Season 7 launches. And so because of that, we don't know how many there's going to be. There could be just 1 mystery racer, there could be 2, there could be 3 or more, which we've never had more than 3, but I'm guessing it'll probably be around 2 because that seems to be the default. However, it could be anything. We really have no idea, no information on these mid-season characters whatsoever. But first things first, I want to take a moment and revisit these leaks that I have discussed in a lot of my videos to talk about who some of the most likely possibilities for mid-season racers are. So all the way back a long time ago in October or August, I believe, around that time there, like before Disney Speedstorm even went free to play, there was Snow White listed in the files. There were these 3 franchises that were just sort of other at the time. They had no characters attached to them, they were just loosely mentioned in the files, and those were A Bug's Life, The Incredibles, and Snow White. And I think all of these are likely possibilities for mid-season racers, with the exception of The Incredibles, because I think The Incredibles is much more suited for an entire season themed around it. But A Bug's Life and Snow White are both like not super popular Disney franchises, but Snow White especially is really iconic, and again, these have been in the files since I think September or October, so it has been quite some time since they were initially mentioned, and so I think it's very likely that these have been developed over time if the team actually went through with them, and so I think when Season 7 rolls around, it might be the perfect time to introduce Snow White, and maybe if she is in the files, then the Evil Queen will be added too, and I think that they would make a great mid-season racer pair. Snow White and the Evil Queen, they're super iconic. It was like the first Disney movie ever made, and so I think it would be a great addition to Disney Speedstorm, and I would love racing as both of them. I can't say the same thing about A Bug's Life. I'm really not a fan of A Bug's Life. However, if we get like Flick and the princess, I'm not sure her name, but they could be cool racers, or maybe the villain Grasshopper or something like that. You know, I could see them being added, and it would be a little disappointing for me, but you know, I'm sure Bug's Life has its fans out there. And now moving on to some much more recent leaks that we haven't seen for too long. We know that there are the limited event racers, the Muppets, Kermit, and Miss Piggy in the files. Now, I am a little skeptical about this being the mid-season racers for Season 7 because Kermit and Miss Piggy were added to the files in February, or at least that's when they were spotted in the files, and so they might not have been developed for as long as some of these other franchises, and because of that, they might not be ready to be added into the game. However, I do think that we will see Kermit and Miss Piggy as a mid-season racer duo sometime in the future. Whether that is Season 7 or I am not too sure. There was also the new season Coco added, and now this was listed under the seasons. However, I could see Coco as a mid-season addition rather than an entire season for it, because there's not a ton of iconic characters in Coco's, and they could easily put just Miguel and Hector or someone else as a mid-season racer duo. However, I definitely would like to see an entire Coco themed season because the track would be gorgeous, and I think we can all agree on that. And now going back up to the initial leaks again, the ones that were added all the way back in October, we can see that there were more seasons listed without characters, and obviously Wreck-It Ralph is one of those which we know is getting added now, and then obviously Inside Out, which is heavily speculated to be either season 8 or 9, and then we also have Tron. And now Tron, I also find this hard to believe, much like Coco, that it will be an entire season by itself, just because like I can't even think of a single character from Tron. Like, I know what they all look like, and they all look pretty identical. And so I think it's pretty unlikely that we get 4 unique racers from Tron, as well as an entire track. I personally just can't see that happening anytime soon when we have so many iconic Disney franchises and Pixar franchises that aren't in the game yet. Getting an entire Tron season seems unlikely to me. However, 1 or 2 Tron mid-season characters I think would make perfect sense, and so I could very well see them as a pair too. But there you guys have it. Those are all the leaks that we have had from mid-season characters. But now let's talk about who I actually think it's going to be. I think the most likely possibility is that the mid-season racer for Season 7 is Snow White, and then she is joined by the Evil Queen as well. I'm just going to assume that there's 2 mid-season racers, and so I think Snow White and the Evil Queen would be a perfect duo to add to the game. Now, the second most likely, I think, is going to be Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, they're in the files, they're super fun characters, and I would love to see them added to the game. And, you know, there's so much possibilities for the Muppets as a franchise. They could easily make an entire season out of it, so it would be a little disappointing to see them as mid-season racers, but, you know, I would still love if Kermit was added to the game at all. It would be super exciting. And now I have some other good guesses, you know, like Tron and the Bugs Life characters. I think those are super likely too. And even though those franchises are likely, I think an underrated idea that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, and in their defense, that hasn't been mentioned in the files at all, at least from the leakers that we know on Twitter. But I think that expanding older franchises could be very well for the next mid-season characters, because we had Hades and Gaston a while back. That was all the way back in Season 4, and so I think maybe if they expanded the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, that would make for a great mid-season addition as well. And specifically Will and either Captain Barbossa or Davy Jones. None of these characters are crew members, and so they can all be added to the game, and I think it'd be really cool to have them, and I feel like they are planning to get added at some point. Again, they weren't in the files, so whether that is going to be soon or later, I have no idea, but I think that they are actually pretty likely contenders for mid-season characters. So my first guess is Snow White and the Evil Queen, my second guess is Kermit and Miss Piggy, and my third guess is another expansion to the Pirates of the Caribbean collection. After that, I would probably guess the Tron characters, followed by the Bugs Life characters, to be another group of mid-season pairs, and then obviously there's some mid-season racers that I have no evidence that they're going to come to the game whatsoever, but I would really love to see them, specifically Moana and Maui. We do know that Moana 2 is releasing later this year. I don't know if this will encourage Disney Speedstorm to add them to their game or not, but I would certainly love to see Moana. She is my most wanted character in Disney Speedstorm. I'd also love to see like Aurora and Maleficent. Maleficent is a super iconic villain, and Aurora is a pretty cool princess, and I would love to see them in game as well. And then Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. I made a whole video talking about a potential Tangled season, and as much as I would love to see a Tangled season, I could also totally understand if they just made Rapunzel and Flynn Rider a mid-season racer duo. But let me know, what do you guys think? What are your predictions for the new mid-season racers coming to the game? Again, I'm really hoping it's the Muppets or Snow White. I think those make the most sense. They've been in the files for a while. But yeah, let me know, what do you guys think? Who are your predictions? Be sure to tell me in the comments who you want to see, and I will catch you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.